Welcome to this session on the virtual classroom for flexible and e-learning. The focus of tonight really is to talk about assignment 2. If we're looking for somewhere to start, I think it's really important that you define what you mean by flexibility. I mean, I guess for me it comes down to the notion of providing choices in terms of things like time, place and pace, choices in terms of things like learning styles and so on. Because I really think the second thing that you actually need to do is you need to establish a set of criteria against which your discussion might work. Now, if you have defined flexibility in terms of flexibility in time, place and pace, you could actually use those. But there are some other criteria that some of you have already mentioned tonight that you might like to think about. Learning styles, access and equity, practicalities, which I think is related to how easy it is to use and so on and so forth, and age differences. Are there any others that you would like to put up there? Then what I'd suggest you might like to do is to use the whiteboard again. There is, in terms of criteria you might like to use, and you wouldn't want to use all of these, but some of them: learning styles, access and equity, practicalities, age differences, assessment, restrictions. Justin, anything else you'd like to put up there?
I might have put up the knowing your student body and their needs, so that just incorporates things like age and access to equipment and their level of technology awareness and all those sorts of things.
Kim, is there anything you'd like to put up there?
Probably literacy, learning ability.
Thanks, and I see that someone's put safety up there. Thanks very much. Michael, anything you'd like to put up there?
I was just thinking of probably just under the access and equity, I suppose just the disabilities. And
Murray, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Maybe pedagogical issues and maybe learning barriers, which could be language and would also be technological.
That a lot of this comes under access and equity in some ways, doesn't it? It's to do with access to the technology, people's digital or technology literacy and so on. Else, anything you'd like to add up there?
I just put down legal as flexible learning, especially in the electrical industry, is making sure people know what they're doing and how they're doing it, and not giving information that's going to get us into a legal situation.
And that's particularly an issue in some occupations, isn't it? For example, in the mining industry, where errors can have huge personal and financial costs. Thanks for that. Tracy, is there anything you'd like to add up there?
Yes, I think I put down culture and language barrier.
You can see that we've got a set of criteria. It might be useful in terms of the way you format the assignment once you've defined flexibility. Now, clearly, some of those criteria can be clumped together in various ways, and I'm sure that you'll be able to do that. But what I'd suggest for this assignment is that you need to pick maybe 3, maybe 4 criteria that you would discuss the notion of flexibility against. Once you've defined flexibility and you've discussed the notion of flexibility against 3 to 4 criteria, really the next point to go to is to bring it all together. But what you would do is reveal your particular position in respect to flexibility and justify it. Tracy, has that clarified expectations for you?
Maybe I would talk about the position versus the criteria simultaneously. May not be 2 separate sections.
Tracy, I don't see a particular problem with you doing exactly what you've said, which is to integrate the discussion with the revealing of your personal position. So, yeah, Chucko would like to say something.
If I prefer to use a blog or a discussion board, is it, I have to justify why I am using that one, that mode of delivery, or is it that, just about the criteria my position?
My answer to that question would be that you may want to use specific examples of technologies like blogs or discussion forum to explain a point. But the purpose of this particular assignment is very much to talk in slightly more general terms about your personal position in relation to the notion of flexibility as you define it. And in a way, the criteria as you discuss them is simply a means through which you reveal but also justify your position. Justin?
Is it all right to refer to sort of just the technologies in general, or as opposed to having sort of highlighting specific areas? Or
they're taking either approach is perfectly reasonable. You may want to talk about digital technologies in a general sense, or you may want to talk about specific sorts of technologies like blogs or discussion forums, or you may like to break the technologies up a bit into the sort of notion of functionalities that we talked about in, I think, the second session that we had. And Julian,
I was just wondering, like, you said to put your case forward and justify it. Are you talking about justifying by other literature that's out there?
In this particular assignment, there are two elements that I've asked for. One is your personal position and the way in which it's justified. So I am asking you to embed yourself, if you like, into the assignment. But in this assignment, it is reasonable to expect that you will also draw on at least some of the literature that's been documented in the readings that I've given you, or other literature that you've come across in your readings.
Do you want like a balance of literature, like some saying, some that agrees with your position and some that maybe disagrees as well?
Julian, in this case, I would have thought that maybe somewhere between 5 and 8 references would be, something to sort of aim at. So, but I think what you do need to demonstrate in this sort of assignment is, firstly, that you have developed a personal position in respect to the notion of flexibility, and that you have read enough of that inform that position in some way, and that informing may be to justify your position or support your position, or it may be that people disagree with what you're saying. So it's the two elements: firstly, a revealing of your own position in a personal sort of way, and secondly, demonstrating that you have some grasp of the literature in general and the way in which that literature might inform your particular position.
I've got a question which is about learning in the learning and delivery, I suppose. So how do we have to address the question of learning itself?
Let me explain it this way. It typically happens when people pick up new ideas, or people start in the business of teaching, or try a new approach to their particular practice in teaching, is that the focus tends to be on themselves in terms of just simply doing the job of teaching. And over a period of time, as people become comfortable with the teaching approach, they tend to shift their emphasis from what they're doing to what the learners are doing. The teacher is seen as someone who is there to support learners' learning, rather than simply there as an end in itself to do teaching.